whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
We're going to get into the Oscars, and I will tell you what was the biggest dig and the biggest flub during Oscars speeches, during the Academy Awards. I got to get that right. It's not the Oscars, it's the Academy Awards. I always mess up in saying that. But thank you guys for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube, starting at noon Pacific or anytime. We do have to talk about the Oscars. There was a lot of flubs, actually. Some pretty big ones. One I was trying to justify, and then I was like, that's actually pretty bad. So we'll get into that. I want you guys to tell me in the comments, what did you think about the show? Because a lot of the analysis I'm reading are like, they went back to the basics. There wasn't any slapping going on, but did that make it interesting? Were there a lot of things to talk about? You guys tell me in the comments whether or not you watched it, what you loved, what you hated, and I'll get into those digs and flubs in just a moment. Also, March Madness begins tomorrow, and I did not know that there is a huge team that I often root for that's huge during March Madness, and it's not what you think it is, but it's a weird type of fact that's going on there. Daylight saving time. I hope you guys all remembered and aren't late today. That began. It's friggin' lame. I don't know why we still do that stuff. We will, of course, be keeping our eye on the storm. The California storm is just unrelenting, especially for those in Pajaro River Valley. It's just so awful out there. And there's a different type of storm, a gross type of storm that is happening in China that we'll talk about as well. Southwest trying to fix its reputation by bringing some boogie woogie to the conversation. So we'll get into that as well. We will touch on SVM, Silicon Valley Bank. President Biden trying to ease people's fears. I'll tell a funny story over this weekend about how I saw some of the fallout from the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank while I was driving around this weekend in Santa Clara. Also, can a bank be too woke? Because I think the Republican Party has really jumped the shark on the use of woke. I mean, it's almost as if, there's a bounty or something on the word woke or something where they get paid for every time they say it on national television. So that's really funny. If you run for office, are there just some things you should know? If you don't, for instance, know the Pledge of Allegiance, does that disqualify you from running for office? Really embarrassing. I'll have some sound from that. And then we'll have some interesting food news to round out the show. So you guys all, that's all coming up today. Of course, Kim McAllister will be joining us in just a moment. But before we get to all of that, please smash that thumbs up button. And stars, you were 46th, huh? Keeping track on it. Please do it. Just click that thumbs up. It's right there below your screen. It's a quick thumbs up. We absolutely love getting those thumbs ups and appreciate it so very much. The super chat is live. The growing community that we have on the Nikki Medoro Show is awesome. And one of the ways that you can show support during the show, get your name flashed up there and your comment, is by throwing some money at the super chat. So if you see the $ below the live chat box or off to the side, sometimes it looks different on your cell phone versus if you're watching on your computer. So just look for the $ and you could donate that way. Big thank you to everyone who took some time this weekend to sign up to be part of the Medorable crew, as I love to call it, and become monthly subscribers to our Patreon. We really do appreciate it. It's one of the main sources of revenue for the show. And if we don't have money, then the show can't continue in the state in which it is. And I love it. And it's growing. Our subscriber numbers are up. We are getting some bites on some possible sponsorships. So again, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com if you want to get in on that. But a simple way to support us every month is by joining our Patreon, and the website where you can find the link and the link to other past shows is thenikkimedoroshow.com. The email again, thenikkimedoroshow at gmail.com is also what you use for PayPal. And if you want some merch, just go to my shop, thenikkimedoroshop.com, thenikkimedoroshop.com. Okay, so let's get into it, people. How many of you in the comments actually stayed and watched the Oscars? So I'm raising my hand. We totally watched the whole entire thing. I was quite proud of myself, actually. I was like, we really did it. We watched, I had it recorded because I cut the cord. So I have that Hulu Plus Live TV. Actually, I had a meltdown at the end of it because my daughter hopped on and then I couldn't get it back and it was complete nonsense, but we ended up getting it back. So I watched it from the very, very beginning. I liked Jimmy Kimmel. I thought that he did a pretty good job. I did watch both, by the way. I watched the Oscars and then I watched the season finale of The Last of Us. And I can't wait to hear what Kim thought about that. I thought the Oscars was done pretty well. I enjoyed it, but there were some pretty big mistakes. And some of them are like, it is what it is. But others are like, how did you decide to do it that way? Okay, so let's first start off with the dig. And the biggest dig, I think, came from the woman who made history. Michelle Yeoh, the first Asian woman to win Best Leading Actress. The second woman of color, right? A minority woman. Halle Berry won at first as the first Black woman to win Best Lead Actress. So this was a bit of a dig, and I didn't catch it. I really didn't catch it. So let me play you the sound of that dig. Here again is Michelle Yeoh during her Oscar acceptance speech.
And ladies, don't let anybody tell you you are ever past your prime. Never give up.
Yeah, there was some more for all the little boys and girls who look like me watching tonight. This is a beacon of hope and possibilities. And ladies, don't ever let anybody tell you you are past your prime. Now, I took that just to mean, she's been acting for so many years and now she's won her first Oscar. But yes, Kim, it was a dig at Don Lemon. Now you'll remember, John, you also said that as well. Yeah. It didn't immediately pop up into my mind. But yeah, so last month, you'll remember we talked about it. Don Lemon angered a lot of people by mentioning women being past their prime. He says, people, politicians are suddenly not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is in their primes in 20s and 30s and maybe 40s, he was referencing Nikki Haley's call for a mental fitness test. He's like, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politics are not in their prime and they need to be in their prime when they serve. I think he meant politicians. She would not be in her prime according to Google or whatever it is. You didn't need to say it, Don Lemon, then. And I think that Michelle Yeoh was right to kind of have that dig, but it's a very female, I would say, kind of insult, being in your prime or out of your prime, because I do think that when you're a woman, there is a big portion of society that thinks that you're past that sweet spot. And we get it through marketing, ad campaigns, pay, job opportunities. And unless you're in it and unless you're experiencing it, I don't think you can fully appreciate how much it sucks. How much it really sucks when you feel like you're in your prime. You have experience, you have connections, but then all of a sudden you don't look prime, right? You're not that, grade A steak or whatever anymore for Hollywood or media to consume. And so I liked Michelle Yeoh's comment. I thought it was a great dig. Yeah, Al Anonymous, a woman is always in her prime unless she is 10 feet under. Yeah, John says, I got it right when she said it. I was thinking Dawn must be feeling like crap now. Steve, Don Lemon got slapped. Yeah. It's one of those instances where, screw you, man. I am in my prime. I am in my mid 40s, almost. Technically, I'll be in my mid 40s this year. And, there is that self-awareness of, I feel like I have so much more to give. I am like cruising in my career. Yes, there's the hiccup with Station X, but I have so much more to give. I have the connections. I have the experience. But then some people are looking at you like, you're not 20. You're definitely not 30. And that could be a very, very tough pill for people to swallow. And so I'm glad that she had that kind of dig at him, because she was absolutely right. All right, let's welcome Kim McAllister to get her take on the Oscars. We're talking about it. And I was saying there was a big dig, which was Michelle Yeoh, women past her prime at Don Lemon. And then Kim, and I don't know did you watch the Oscars at all? Like
I watched the important parts.
Oh, okay. I watched it from beginning to end. So I fully watched it. And then there was the biggest flub, which I noticed immediately. And it had to do with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay. I know, a huge win for them. They won Best Picture. And when they won Best Picture, the person in the middle, Jonathan Wang, who was the producer of Everything Everywhere All at Once, was giving a really great speech. And I love the beginning of this one part where he's directing his comments to his gorgeous wife in the audience. And then just keep listening, because then there's what I would consider one of the biggest flubs of it.
To my brilliant and beautiful wife, Ani, if all this shiny stuff and tuxedos goes away, I would just love to do laundry and taxes with you for the rest of my life. But this is for my dad, who, like so many immigrant parents, died young. And he is so proud of me, not because of this, but because we made this movie with what he taught me to do, which is no person is more important than profits. And no one is more important than anyone else. And these weirdos right here supported me in doing that. Wang Da Zhang, memory eternal. Daniels, I don't know what to say. I love you guys. You just won Best Picture. Hey!
Yeah, no person is more important than profits. I tweeted out immediately. I'm like, wait, flip it and reverse it. I think he was nervous. A lot of people were saying he was just nervous. Or it was a Freudian slip, Kim. I don't know. But yeah, it was quite funny. Yeah, Kim says, I heard it too. I went, whoops. Yeah. It's no profits are more important than people. No one person is more important than anything. I understood the emotion he was trying to convey. Unfortunately, it didn't come out right. So
did you see this?
Nervous, though. What? I did see that. Now who is she? I didn't know who she was.
So this is Tem, pardon me, and Tem was an Oscar nominee.
Oh,
apparently for Best Song. She did the song for Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, nice. Wakanda Forever, and the song was called Lift Me Up. But this puffy white gown that she wore...
She wrote that song?
She did, or performed it.
Well, Rihanna performed it.
She's the song... They call her a songstress. That she's nominated for Best Original Song for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Lift Me Up.
Okay.
So, yeah, so she's involved in that song, and she was involved in being nominated for that song. But she had this dress on, and even though it looked really great on the red carpet, it did not look great when you're sitting in the audience at the Oscars,
right?
Because that big old headdress, people are trying to crane their necks. You could see the guy behind her trying to see around her, like leaning over.
Yeah.
How rude is that?
Honestly. I don't think they're thinking about it at all. I really don't think she thought about it at all. That's interesting. Now, do I like the dress in and of itself? You know, I don't want to insult anybody. You know what it reminds me of? And I really don't mean this as an insult. It's just the first thing that popped into my head. You know those bridal shower games where you have to like make a wedding
Wrap the
dress
bride
in a
in
veil?
toilet paper. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It does
It's
look
a
like
little
that.
bit. It's a
But
little
she
bit like
looks, she's a
that.
beautiful
She looks
woman.
gorgeous in it. Yeah, absolutely.
And there is no doubt that she stands out with her, behind the white halo. However,
Yeah, I'd hate to
it
be
just
behind it.
shows a complete lack of awareness or thought or consideration for anyone around you.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments of people like, she knew. I mean, here's my question. For those of you that think that she knew, you think that she's like, I can't wait to be in a gigantic dress and block the people behind me? I highly doubt that. I think it's just lack of self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Lack of understanding that you're going to be seated. For instance, and I've never been, but like the Kentucky Derby, they wear these gigantic hats. I would
Right.
imagine that if you're behind someone with a gigantic hat on,
Yeah.
they're going to be pissed that they can't see. But maybe that's just, you have to go in knowing you could be possibly behind somebody. Do we know who was behind her? Because if it was like a big name actor or something,
I don't know. I'm not
I'm
sure.
assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Kim. I heard people say that she was seated in front of seat fillers, which sucks. There's still people who would like to watch the award show, but I can't imagine like Steven Spielberg's view is being blocked by Tim's dress, right? I mean,
they have they always put the quotes of people who tweet out, the best quotes. This one is, imagine waiting your whole life to be at the Oscars and you end up sitting behind a stratus cloud.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, maybe it was a little bit see-through, and maybe they have like at concerts, the big, I doubt they have the big gigantic screens. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they show people up on the screens, but I know that you did not, and you've tried to finish everything everywhere all at once. I was really glad that it won. I loved the lead actor, forgive me his name. He was from Indiana Jones. He was the kid. I knew when Harrison Ford came out to announce Best Picture, even though we're not supposed to know, I was like, Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win because they were in that picture together. They were in Indiana Jones, and he was so sweet. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis's speech as well. She's like, I won an Oscar. And I love the fact that she emphasized this is everyone's Oscar. Like, we won an Oscar. Like, there were so many people. Yes, thank you. I'm not going to even try. I'm going to probably butcher it. But yes, that was the actor that won. Ke Kwan. I might be saying that wrong. But yeah, he was so cute. And he is so excited to be on stage that I absolutely loved it. Okay, there was another flub. And I really didn't realize it was happening until it was happening. At first, I loved it. John Travolta doing the In Memoriam and with Olivia Newton-John and him getting choked up. I got choked up. I don't know if you saw it, but being hopelessly devoted, and I can even say, oh, it was so sweet. But there's always this moment after they do the whole montage where people like, you left this person out and you left that person out. And it's like, yeah, we know we can't include everybody, right?
They left some pretty big names out though this time.
They left out Leslie Jordan, which I think is really awful. But they also left out Charlie Dean. Now this is her in the movie Triangle of Sadness. She did die in 2002, so we can't pull any of this. Oh, she died this year. She'll be in next year. She was in one of the movies nominated for Best Picture, people. And she wasn't included in the show In Memoriam. They did the QR code, Kim. A QR code to see the rest of them. Now, I know that this kind of goes
second-rate death. If you didn't qualify on the A-list death, click the QR code. That's you know what that is? That is an insult. Even in death is what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like I think it's so they could solve the whole everyone getting pissed off because somebody wasn't included. But to not include a woman who played a major role in one of the Best Picture nominated films, that's a bit of an oversight and a huge mistake, I think, on behalf of the Oscars. Yeah, there was a number of people that weren't, but having it as a QR code, I don't know. I just feel like it's tacky. It's tacky to say the least.
Super tacky.
Leslie Jordan not being included, and he died in 2002, right? It wasn't 2003 that Leslie Jordan died. So who else was on the let's see.
Anne Heche.
Anne Heche, Tom Sizemore, but Tom Sizemore just died. And so you don't include, as far as I thought that you only included the year, like 2002.
Oh, Cindy
That's
Williams.
what I was thinking. Cindy Williams, Gilbert Gottfried was not included. And I also think this is the other thing about the in memoriam is that there are a lot of the not behind the camera people, right? And so I know whenever they throw up an actor, everyone starts clapping, and then when it's somebody else, like a producer or a casting agent or one of the other behind the scenes people,
that you don't know.
It doesn't get kind of this response. And then I immediately started thinking of our job at Station X at KGO and in radio and in television and in the media, and how many people are behind the scenes that we depend on all of the time. And that if we were putting a show together, I mean, I instantly think of like people like Karen and Chris and our producers and all the writers and all these people that don't get any quote unquote airtime or FaceTime if you're on TV, but are like even more vital because without them, you are up as creek if they're not there. And we've gone through that many times. And so I guess if it doesn't get the response, that's why, is because they're not front and center, but they are so important.
Who was included?
That's what I mean. I don't know why I'm saying 2022.
Raquel Welch was included, and she just died in February.
See, then I don't understand the rules with that.
I thought it was from Oscars to Oscars,
Oh, so like if you died on Saturday, you're supposed to.
Yeah, if you died last night, 2 hours before the show, they're scrambling to get a photo of you and put it in.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go on forever. It can't. I mean, we can't include everybody.
No, but I know could move it along faster or something.
That's one thing that just doesn't happen. Jimmy Kimmel, I thought, did a great job. I really liked him. There was a joke that he made that was I literally laughed out loud. He's all because it's like halfway through the show, and it does get long. I mean, it does. And then what was it? He says, at this point in the show, it kind of makes you miss the slapping, doesn't it? No, it's not a violence joke, but and he did make a joke at the beginning. There's like the crisis management team is here, and if you slap somebody, you'll win Best Oscar and be able to give a 19-minute speech. I thought that was pretty funny.
And I think he had to. I think he had to say something.
Oh, you have to. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. He did take a dig. Speaking of digs and flubs, Kimmel did make a dig at Tucker Carlson. And now you'll remember Tucker Carlson obviously got the insurrection, whatever, the tapes, right, of everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, do I not have it? I guess I didn't save it. But yeah, so he basically made a dig of, the overwhelming majority weren't violent, was what Carlson was saying. And Jimmy Kimmel was talking about editing, and basically like, editors are great. You could turn, 44,000 hours of tape into sightseers or something. And that was so excellent. A lot of people were laughing. You can always tell who's conservative though in the audience, or at least not fully supportive, by the people that are just like uncomfortable looking, which I thought was really funny.
It's the truth. So
I loved the happy birthday. I don't know if you saw the movie. I think it was a short film, The Irish Goodbye, which I never saw, but they brought this young man on stage and it was his birthday. So they took all their time, or most of their time, to sing the guy happy birthday. I thought that was really nice. What did you think? Did you watch any of the song performances?
I watched Lady Gaga.
What did you? That was what I was going to ask. What did you think of that?
There was a big thing about her taking off her gown and getting in a t-shirt and
took off her makeup.
No makeup. She's amazing no matter what. She wasn't going to perform. She had said, no, I'm not ready, until all of a sudden, like, it was confirmed on Saturday that she's going to show up to the Oscars. And she's so amazing. The song is good. She's good. It was an emotional performance.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought it was great. What did you think?
I thought it was excellent. I was a little shocked by her appearance. At first, I was confused because I didn't watch the it wasn't a red carpet, it was a champagne carpet. I didn't watch a lot of that. And so I didn't know that she was already there. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, did she pre-record this during like a recording session or something like that? Because she was so casual. And then I found out that no, she was there. Right. And I thought that was pretty cool that she stripped it down. It was for Top Gun. Give Me Your Hand or something like that, I think it was called. I liked the song, and I'm not knocking RRR, Not To, the song that won for best song. I had never heard of it until the performance, but the performance during the Oscars, if you haven't seen it, amazing. The dancing and everything. It was cool. I had just never heard of that song. I had never heard of that movie. So, that's on me. I never heard of RRR. No idea what it was about. So when I heard Rihanna singing Lift Me Up, I was like, that should win. I know that song. I hear that song on the radio. Not saying that that's the reason why songs should win, but it was really, it was interesting that was the song that did win. And speaking of Lady Gaga, did you see how awesome she also is? Because did you see this? Look what she did for a photographer that fell.
That was very nice of you.
That was very nice of you. Thank you, Gaga, for being a human being and noticing when a human being fell down. But it was still pretty cool to see it. Oh, hold my hand.
She's really kind. She has a whole foundation based on kindness. And so that is who she is. She's not, let's do it because it's right. You see her not even hesitate, that she hears something and she just turns around and goes. She's a really good person.
Yeah. Celeste was bothered by the champagne carpet. I didn't really notice it. One of my old colleagues up in Sacramento goes to the Oscars every year, and she was there. She said she missed the red carpet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kitty O'Neill up at KFBK in Sacramento. Okay. She goes every year. She the pictures that she has, the history of being there is awesome. But yeah, she said, I missed the red carpet. Oh, so Not To was a dance, not a song. Okay. I apologize. I don't know any. RRR was the name of the movie. I'm correct about that, right? The letter R, the letter R,
yeah.
the letter R.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had never heard of it. Had you ever heard of that movie, Kim? Or
I had heard of it because critics liked it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Anybody in the comments see it? Anybody? I have no. You could, put my life in danger, and I couldn't tell you even what the movie was about. But I did like the song performance, and I thought that was really cool. All right. Then there was the dig / flub that is sadly this guy who I like. I really do like this guy. I know he can be a controversial figure, but Hugh Grant was a complete a-hole during this interview on before the show. Now I get, that these things are so stupid. What are you wearing? All these sorts of things. But let me play you the sound of Hugh Grant and Ashley. Oh, Jesus, what's her name?
Graham. Ashley Graham.
Ashley Graham. And it is just awkward as hell. Here it is.
You've been here a few times. Yeah. What's your favorite thing about coming to the Oscars?
It's fascinating. The whole of humanity is here. It's Vanity Fair.
Oh, it's all about Vanity Fair. Yes, that's where we let loose and have a little bit of fun. What are you most excited to see tonight?
To see?
Yeah, well, I know that you probably watched a few of the movies. Are you excited to see anybody win? Do you have your hopes up for anyone?
No one in particular.
Okay, well, what are you wearing tonight then?
Just my suit.
Your suit? Who made your suit? You didn't make it.
I can't remember. My tailor.
That's okay. Yeah. Shout out to the tailor.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does it feel like to be in Glass Onion? It was such an amazing film. I really loved it. I love a thriller. How fun is it to shoot something like that?
Well, I'm barely in it. I'm in it for about 3 seconds.
Yeah, but still, you showed up and you had fun, right?
Almost.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
All right, back to you guys.
Oh, I feel so bad for her. Look, when you have to interview people who are not cooperating, it is one of the most awkward moments of your life. And I think that Hugh Grant should have been called out for even stepping up. If you don't want to be interviewed,
then don't walk up the
carpet. Don't walk up there. it reminds me, and I've shared this story before, of my very awkward and what I would say insulting interview with Diane Keaton. And she was a complete ass. In front of an entire convention hall full of women being interviewed. I mean, there was a man also interviewing her, a woman and a man, and basically just was such a bitch, if I could say it, like total. And it was embarrassing for me. And she wouldn't answer any of the questions that she and her team provided. And I would never do that again. But yeah, she was awful. And I felt for Ashley Graham. I know that sinking feeling when you know that this interview is going off the rails. It was just,
I would say though that your career as a professional interviewer is a lot different than her career as a plus size model, which is great. She looks amazing in her outfit. That's awesome. And what are you wearing? Ha ha ha. And how
that's what you get asked on these stupid things,
But she's not armed with other questions. She's not.
What are you supposed to say? What do you think about, the
she
war
didn't even understand the answer when he said it's Vanity Fair. She thought immediately, the Vanity Fair party. That's where we let our hair down. He was talking about the atmosphere of the Oscars when she said, what do you think of all this? He's talking, she didn't even understand what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
So yes, he was a complete A, because after this many years
of
walking down carpets and going to award ceremonies, he should be able to take the lamest of question and turn it around to whatever answer he wants to give. Yeah. And he should have some prepared as he's, walking down the carpet, knowing what he wants to say. So I blame him, but also she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Let's just say that.
Well, I mean, I don't know about her intelligence. I do think that she might have been thrown into the deep end.
Right.
But I do think that also Hugh Grant should have been a professional. He has done this for decades. Yeah. And he's also a bit of a snot. He always has been.
Yes.
So he was kind of playing that up a little bit. Look,
but
he's on the other side.
Interviewer, you should know that going in. Like when if Hugh Grant walks up to you, he's known for not being, cooperative.
Maybe
so
she didn't
make
even know
him
who he
laugh
was.
or, say something irreverent to him and he'll probably love that. Whatever. You got to approach it so that you know how to, you know what to do going in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she's gonna dig back at him, right? It's not like she's gonna picked up any prostitutes lately, Hugh. I mean, nobody's gonna do that, right?
No.
Yeah, well, I just thought that it was unfair. I think that, and it sucks. I just felt for her so bad, but it is what it is. All right, we're running late. Yeah. We'll do some news with Kim. The Razzies were also announced, which I always think is kind of a mean thing. I'll tell you who won some of those, which kind of overlap with the Oscars as it is.
Also awards.
Yeah, which is just so mean. It's so mean. And then it's March Madness starting tomorrow. And there's an interesting statistic in a team, Kim, that I didn't realize that I root for all of the time. I've been a huge fan of this team, but it's not exactly what you're thinking of. Please click that thumbs up button before we go to the news. It helps us out. It gets our show in front of new eyeballs. We'll talk about that and so much more coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start with Silicon Valley Bank because Republican presidential candidates are already pointing fingers at the White House over the Silicon Valley Bank failure. In a post on Truth Social, former President Trump said there will be a Great Depression far bigger and more powerful than that of 1929. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley tweeting, President Biden is pretending this isn't a bailout, but it actually is. The latest round of wet weather is really causing problems in the North Bay. At least 6 properties red tagged in Santa Rosa. Authorities keeping close watch of several homes and a synagogue because of soil movement on a hillside nearby. It looks like officials with the Santa Rosa Fire Department are monitoring a slide behind 3 other homes, and this comes as another atmospheric river is due into the Bay Area. Late tonight, it should arrive, bringing 2 to 3 inches of rain to Sonoma County's valleys and 3 to 5 inches of rain to higher elevations. Speaking of the North Bay, we've been watching the levee break situation in the Pajaro area near Watsonville. Here on the North Bay, we've got the Russian River, and it could crest near Hopland tomorrow afternoon. The water expected to reach a height of 15.5 feet at about 2 p.m. That is about a foot, half a foot rather, past its flood stage. And it could flood by nearby croplands and Highway 175. Russian River in Guerneville forecast to reach 29.5 feet Wednesday morning. That is a half a foot above monitor level and about 2.5 feet below flood stage. And of course, Sonoma County remains under a flood watch between late tonight and early Wednesday morning. And of course, it is already flooded in the area of Watsonville in the Pajaro area where a levee did break and flooded a complete neighborhood. I don't know, Nick, if you saw any of these pictures. Really can't believe how inundated with water this neighborhood is. This is the Pajaro area. They have had to make more than 100 rescues in this area. Look at, in this case, the water is up to the hood of these cars. In some cases, the cars you can just see the very tippy top of the car.
Look at that. That reminds me of like Katrina or something. And I know it's not as bad as Katrina, but think about that being your home. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, that levees. We say the word levee like we're not just talking about a big mound of dirt. I mean, other countries do levees completely different than we do. I remember when I was a reporter up in Sacramento and we were walking along a levee, and all I kept thinking to myself was, it's a hill of dirt. Like, this is it. Like, this is what's protecting us. Yeah. In many cases, that's what it is. It's crazy.
We'll move on to a different story because this one is a warning for United States residents. Democrats are calling on Congress and the State Department to issue a travel advisory warning to Americans about Mexico's counterfeit pills. Edward Markey of Massachusetts and David Trone of Maryland citing a Los Angeles Times investigation into Mexican pharmacies. A lot of people will cross the border, go to Mexican pharmacies, try to get their drugs for less. It shows, though, this investigation, that more than 70% of pills sold to investigators were tainted by fentanyl, methamphetamine, or other powerful drugs. So what you think you might be getting in Mexico may not be exactly what you're thinking. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says China is the biggest state threat to economic interests for sure. He made the comment in San Diego ahead of a meeting with world leaders, including President Biden today. Sunak saying the UK has taken steps to counter China, including stopping what he called a hostile environment in sensitive sectors like semiconductors. And Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks are sharing the microphone on tour, the two co-headliners performing one of each other's songs together as they kick off their tour Friday night at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Nicks joined Joel for his song And So It Goes, while during Nick's set, Joel sang Tom Petty's part on Stop Dragging My Heart Around. And Nikki, I don't know if you heard it, so I want to make sure to report it here. ESPN is saying that
I know.
49ers quarterback, the handsome Jimmy Garoppolo, is going to be wearing Raiders black. Yeah, he plans to sign with the Raiders. Garoppolo said to have agreed to a 3-year, $67.5 million deal, $34 million of that guaranteed. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo played for Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels when he was with the New England Patriots, and they're now set to reunite in Las Vegas.
I mean, whatever. I can't stand the Raiders. I think that their fan base have been screwed over and over and over again. I think they deserve to always lose. I think I have Raider fans that like watch the show. I don't care. You should not be a Raider fan. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. Do I care? I'm not gonna root for the Raiders. I'll still look at Jimmy G though. He won't look as good in silver and black as he does in red and gold, but whatever, whatever.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, Steve Moskowitz is at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes, please give Steve a call. We're getting ever closer to the tax deadline. And so he can help you. Like, he will explain things to you. 888-TAX-DEAL, MoskowitzLLP.com. And please, if you call him, let him know the Nikki Medoro Show sent you so he knows where you got the information. So, and a big thanks to Steve for, of course, being our founding sponsor. All right. Hold on. I had a couple of comments I wanted to get to in the comments. Jimmy G is the perfect fit for Mark Davis. They'll keep losing just with a pretty face now. I'm going to be honest, and this is the only nice thing I'll really say about the Raiders. I didn't think that Derek Carr was that bad on the eyes. He always looked like he had eyeliner on, which I always found interesting. But I thought that Derek Carr, if we're going to talk about pretty faces, and just, I'm totally being objectionable right now, but that's the right word. But I don't know. Screw the Raiders. Best of luck to them. Yes, whatever. I hope that he gets the respect he deserves, because he will never get it with the 49ers. That's what I will say. Jimmy G, it did not matter what he did for our team. So many quote unquote Niner fans would not give him any sort of respect or anything. The damn guy did so much for our team, and nope. No. So I hope that he is appreciated. I wish it was for a better team. Just not the Raiders, actually. I don't care. If he would have gone to the Seahawks, I would have been pissed too, but not as pissed.
The stats say that as 49ers starter, Garoppolo had a 38-17 record and won 4 of his 6 playoff games with San Francisco.
The guy the guy stepped in when we needed him and got us so far every single time. And it's still no respect. It's like Rodney Dangerfield. I swear to God, poor guy. All right. Speaking of no respect, the Razzies, the Golden Raspberry Awards came out. Of course, I think it's the night before the Academy Awards, I think is when they do it, right? So let's see. Blonde and Elvis. So Blonde won Worst Picture. Did you see Blonde, Kim?
No.
I actually didn't think it was that bad. People are just like, oh my God, it's awful. Anna de Armas, who played Marilyn Monroe in Blonde, I do agree that it seemed like she had an accent, right? Especially in the trailer. But when you watch the movie, you kind of lose that. I'll say that. Give it a chance. If you have not seen Blonde, I would watch it. I didn't think it was that bad. You know what else? Disney's Pinocchio won an Oscar last night.
Guillermo del Toro. Right.
They were also nominated for Worst Picture. So that's the Razzies for you. Worst Actor. Jared Leto in Morbius. I never saw Morbius.
No.
I used to have the biggest crush on Jared Leto. I hear he's kind of a weirdo, but I don't care. I just used to think that he was just so cute in my so-called life. Oh my God. Worst remake went to Disney's Pinocchio. That was the Razzie. Worst actress, another one for Morbius. Adria Arjona. She won worst supporting actress, pardon me. Worst supporting actor, Tom Hanks in Elvis. I didn't mind Tom Hanks. Everybody was on him.
Yeah.
In Elvis, on his character. I didn't think it was that bad, but some people just can't get past the accent and things like that. Let's see. They have worst screen couple. And this was another one for Tom Hanks. And the couple part was his latex-laden face and ludicrous accent. That was the worst screen couple. So that's what that won the Razzie.
That's lame.
Let's see. Worst screenplay was also a Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe movie. I feel like it's so mean-spirited to do the Razzies. I just find it interesting what's nominated, but what's also up for an Academy Award, right? Or an Oscar. I think it's really Melody did not like it. Blonde, horrible movie for us true Marilyn fans. It was a work of fiction. I'm not a huge Marilyn Monroe fan. I don't know a lot of her history. But okay, if you're a huge Marilyn fan, you didn't like it, I'll take your word for it. I just didn't think the accent or any of that was that bad as far as the movie and what it touched on. Okay, I'll give it to you. All right, so it is March 13th. Tomorrow is the beginning of March Madness. Now, did you know that there is a team that in recent years, Kim, I have been a growing fan of, and is huge in March Madness. Did you realize that Team Snip is huge during March Madness?
No.
Apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, vasectomies, or as I like to call it, Team Snip, is like a huge moneymaker during March Madness, so much so that they do ad campaigns. Look at this. Ready to sit this one out on the sidelines? VAS Madness is a thing. So why, you may ask? Well, they pair March Madness, sitting your ass on the couch, watching these games back to back, with getting a vasectomy. And it works.
Yeah.
Apparently, there is a huge spike in the number of men who decide to get snipped during March Madness. So they have the perfect excuse to sit on their behind,
lay
ice
back,
their nuts, and watch the game.
Watch the game.
I absolutely love it. So one guy, Terry Fitzpatrick with the Oregon Urology Institute, who advertises like this, said he was looking for a way to link vasectomies to big ticket sporting events. And he's like, so they've dubbed it Snip City, Rip City. Other urology clinics have also seized on this.
Rip City.
It's genius. I mean, it is a surgery that is elective. Yeah. You can choose when you want to get it done. It's an in and out procedure. I mean, it is not that big of a deal, men. And yeah, VAS Madness. That has become kind of a alternative slogan to March Madness. I think it's absolutely genius.
Yeah, pretty smart.
I don't know how many of you guys are part of Team Snip. But yeah, Eric says it perfectly. You have to take a break from sex while healing, and you're too involved in the game anyway. There you go. Exactly. So if you're looking for a time to get snipped, I don't know if you can do it necessarily this last minute. How long does March Madness? March Madness lasts for a couple of weeks, right?
The rest of March, I think, right?
The rest of March. So yeah, I mean, maybe you can get into it. It's during the 2 weekends. The clinic runs the promotion. They order pizza. They keep the waiting room TVs tuned to the games. One local radio station asked listeners to nominate candidates for a chance to get a complimentary spot in the one clinic's Snip Madness bracket. And the lucky winner even got snipped live on air at one point.
Oh,
but that was a deal that was only done once.
I cried. Draw the line. No.
One doctor performs as many as 20 procedures a day during the promotional event. They have a playlist.
Quick snip.
It is just a quick snip.
Quick in and out.
They have a playlist that includes Big Balls by AC/DC and the 80s pop anthem, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I love it. Hey, you know what? Whatever gets men to have control over their reproductive health, I am all for. That's absolutely fine. Oh, thank you, N-Stars. March Madness ends April 3rd. That's the championship game. So Chris is 40 years ago. I knew a woman who got a tubal ligation. She's 60 and alone now. I don't know what that has to do with it, but that's okay. John says, if my wife or girlfriend wants to have sex, I'm putting the game on pause. Now that you can do that. So yeah, you don't have to. It's not like you have to miss a minute. Although you don't want to be on social media because it can ruin the game, right?
Let's go back to that ridiculous comment. 40 years ago. So that means she had her tubes tied when she was 20.
Oof.
And now she's alone. So if you don't want kids, you're going to end up alone? That's not true.
Yeah, Chris. What do you mean, Chris? I know a lot of women that they get tubal ligations and they're happily married. Some of them even have children.
Some couples together decide not to have kids. So I don't know.
You're opening up a can of worms, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's not something you comment on.
This is interesting. And I love that you brought that up, just about women and, how they're treated and all those sorts of things. Did you see this headline in CNN? How the word ma'am went from being a respectful word for some, but polarizing for others. Are you called ma'am, and do you mind, Kim?
I know it's polite, but if I get called ma'am, it makes me feel super old. Yeah.
Now, what if you're called ma'am by a child?
No,
not
that's
like
polite.
That's polite, right? I think there's an
yeah.
age limit. Like if it's a teenager or a 20-something and they're calling me ma'am, I feel old. I'm just like you. But if it's like a little 6-year-old and they're all yes, ma'am, I'm like, oh, what a polite little boy or girl.
Right.
Right. So
If it's if it's said with an eye roll by someone that's older, like, how can we help you today, ma'am? Then I'm like, okay.
Do you get that a lot, Kim?
What you mean is, how can I help you today? B word, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, exactly. I don't mind being called ma'am. I feel like it's all about the age. So like I said, so if it's like a 6-year-old calling me ma'am, totally respectful. Once we start getting into like the 20-somethings calling me ma'am, or someone I think is really close to my age calling me ma'am, I'm like, screw you. And
You're
then
like, wait a minute.
You know what else I find happens is that as the person gets really older that's addressing me, I go back to miss. Right. So like an older gentleman might be all, excuse me, miss. So they're older and they look at me as younger. So then I become a miss again. So it all matters on the interaction, I believe, of the person that's talking to me on whether or not. But there's no sweet spot. There's a sour spot. You're a 20-something, 30-something, call me ma'am. Screw you. No, thank you. Oh, John says, I feel old when kids call me sir. Is it the same for men as it is for women?
I don't think so.
You know what I like, RJ? And I don't know why. And I get called it a lot because of my short stature, and I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
Little lady.
Oh, that would piss me off.
No, it matters who says it and how they say it, of course.
No.
Yeah, I don't mind
like,
that.
What do they say? Hi, little lady.
No. Yeah, I mean, it matters how it's said, because now you just
How
said
are you today, little lady?
I think it matters.
Condescending and rude.
An older gentleman usually will be like, "How can I help you, little lady?"
No,
I don't mind it. I don't like ma'am.
Little lady is.
Miss.
I think that's awful.
Miss is okay. People say little lady to me all the time. Though, so maybe I'm just desensitized to the whole entire thing. Lady Beatrice says, "I don't mind being called ma'am in certain situations, especially where it's a sign of respect." Absolutely. If it's But if it's a little kid, if it's a 20 or 30 something, I just feel like, who are you calling ma'am? Like, and again, if I'm in the South or something, somebody was talking about the South. Yeah, John said, yeah, then I get it, right? But then it's kind of said with a twang, and I feel like it's more natural that way. But no. Kevin says, a little lady, something like John Wayne would say. Yeah, it matters who it is. So what do you like to be called if somebody doesn't know your name, Kim?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's Ms. or ma'am.
Ms. I thought Ms. was like if you're a divorcee.
Well, I think they say miss, ma'am, miss.
Ma'am?
I don't know.
What
I've
would
never
you
really
prefer?
paid attention. I don't know. I don't get called a lot. Maybe it's excuse me, and they don't say excuse me, ma'am. Pardon me.
I say miss, I think, to everybody. I think I say miss. Excuse me, miss. I think I say that to everybody, no matter the age. I guess if it was like an older woman, I might just naturally say ma'am.
Right.
But most of the time, like for instance, like we were in Home Depot a while ago, and I'm trying to get somebody to freaking help me. And there was a woman walking by, and she was definitely older than me, but I still called her miss. I said, excuse me, miss. Hey, lady. Hey, lady.
Hey, lady.
Hey, you. Yeah, Cheryl says, I'll take miss. Natalie says, if I'm in public and someone drops something, I'll call out ma'am or sir to get their attention. I still say miss. I'm trying to like reenact it in my mind. I think I default to miss more often than not. SF Tesla, I love that you just said this. Boss is a thing. Boss, chief, which probably isn't PC. I guess you shouldn't call people chief, but I feel like men do that to each other, right? Boss, chief. I never say boss or chief. I'm not saying that. What if we call a woman toots? Hey, toots.
Hey, toots.
If someone called me toots, I'd
toots.
probably laugh. I would probably, hey, toots. Like, what up? That would be really funny if somebody called me toots. I think so. Ricky says I just leave those designations off. So how do you get somebody's attention? Just excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
Yeah.
But what if they're a distance away from you and there's multiple people in front of you? How does somebody know whether you're talking to the man or the woman or whomever? Excuse me, person over there in the orange shirt. Like, what are you supposed to say? I don't know. Murphy says we use Miss or Mr. first name with all staff at my dance studios. I address the front desk like that when there are students in the lobby to model it for students. So like that's reminds me of school, right?
Yeah,
Like
Miss
Miss
Nikki.
Rebecca or something like that. Do your kids call you by your last name or your first name, or I mean your kids' friends? I mean, not your kids.
I've introduced myself as Kim, so all the kids call me Kim. Like when I help in the classroom, the teacher says, "Do you want to be called, Mrs. or do you want to be called by your name?" I always say, "Call me by my name," so they all know.
Yeah, I go by Nikki. When I volunteer in the classroom, they usually say, Mrs. whatever, just because that's how the teachers like to be addressed. But all my kids' friends, they just call me Nikki. And I've never been, and I know that some people don't like that. They think it's a sign of disrespect. You should call me Mr. or Mrs. And I fully, if that's the way that you run your household, I'm not looking down.
Yeah.
Just don't look down on me because I like being called Nikki. God, that's my mother-in-law. If you were to use Mrs., right? I'm not me.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even go by that. So no, thank you.
But I teach my kids to do that. I always say, you call them Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so until they tell you otherwise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I think if you raise your kids with any manners, they would probably take the lead of the parent or the adult that's talking to it. Eric hates it when someone calls me chief or boss. Chief, I think people should stay away from chief just because of the whole Native American, right?
Yeah.
Boss, I think my husband says boss to the liquor store guy all the time. I think he calls everybody boss. I feel like my husband defaults to boss all the time. He's probably going to text me right now and tell me I'm right or wrong, but I'm pretty sure. RJ, I prefer to address everyone as hey, effer. It's Agent. Hey, if it doesn't get you popped in the face, I guess work on it. Dude, man. I say man a lot, but I don't ever call out to a guy and say, hey, man. Oh, do I? Hey, man.
Hey, man. No.
I say man. I say man occasionally, not all of the time.
I think dude is my default if I've forgotten your name. Hey, dude.
What up, dude?
I have no idea who you are.
So if I ever hear you say, hey, dude, to somebody, I'll be like, oh, she doesn't know his freaking name.
How you doing, dude? Yeah, no, I don't know you. I've completely forgotten your name. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think that again, I'm just going to say it matters who's saying it. If it's somebody that's very, very young, totally respectful. But if you are anywhere within 2 decades of my age below me, do not call me ma'am. Call me beautiful. Just kidding. Just don't call me ma'am. How about that? Just don't
call me. Good morning, beautiful.
Learn my name. Okay. So I know, Kim, you have been following the storm in the Pajaro River Valley. That's just awful. And in the north, I mean, it's all over. And we have another storm that's coming, another atmospheric river, which we have no ground space for. The ground is just saturated. So it's really awful. So Kim will have an update in the news. But hey, we're dealing with a lot of rain, but it's better than what China's dealing with. They're dealing with this. Those are worms.
What?
Those are worms.
Are they falling from the sky? Where are they coming from?
Yeah. So apparently, the video shows, there's video that shows all these worms falling. And apparently, the scientific journal Mother Nature suggests that the animals were dropped after being swept up by heavy winds. It's apparently this occurrence happens after a storm where the insects are caught up in a whirlpool. Now, another theory suggests that the worms are actually poplar flowers, but no, they're like, no, these are worms. They're saying they're flower stalks, but no. Other people are saying
you weren't in the car. Imagine if you were standing on the sidewalk and that happened. I'd be horrified.
Yeah. Now, again, I'm just getting this off the New York Post. One meteorologist says they slow down or become immobile when dead. Oh no, this was a similar thing that happened back in December. The meteorologist was commenting on when iguanas were raining down because they become immobile when the temperature is below 40 degrees. They fall from the trees. They are not dead. They start moving again. When the weather heats up. But yeah, whether they're flower stems or worms, I don't care. I don't want them falling on my head. How about that?
Wow.
That's
like stuff of horror movies for me.
Yeah. William saying it's tree droppings like those flower people were saying. Other people were saying, no, they're worms. I don't know. I'm just getting it from all I'm saying. We get a lot of wind, rain and wind and things like that. Either way, I wouldn't want that falling on my head. So there you go. All right. Stay with us. Kim's going to update the storm when we come back. We're going to talk a bit about money. We'll delve into a little bit with Silicon Valley Bank. I'll tell you a story from this weekend where I saw a little bit of the reaction during my drive around Santa Clara. Actually, it was on Saturday regarding Silicon Valley Bank. You guys let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a bailout? Because a lot of people on the right are saying it is, and other people like President Biden are saying, no, it's not. I'll have a little bit of a clip from him today talking about why. And then a hilarious statement by someone from the Oversight Committee, of course, a Republican, really blaming all of Silicon Valley Bank's problems on, you guessed it, on being woke. I swear to God, they need to get that word out of their repertoire, as they say. That's all coming up after the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. And I'll start with a story that is still continuing in the South Bay. This is West Valley College, which is closed down on lockdown because of an armed intruder. This was first reported, I want to say, about a half an hour ago. West Valley College in Saratoga on lockdown because of reports of an armed intruder on campus. The Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office saying they searched the campus. They confirmed that there is no active threat there, is what they're saying. But police are checking on reports of a male seen with a long rifle associated with a red Cadillac that may be in the parking lot. The school told students run if they can get off campus safely without driving cars, otherwise to stay and hide. And to leave belongings behind. So the school set to issue an update as things change. But again, the Santa Clara County Sheriff Office is saying that officers searched the campus and they say there's no active threat. But West Valley College in Saratoga does remain on lockdown. On to some other stories now where we have the situation in Pajaro not looking very good. As a matter of fact, the levee break and subsequent flooding near the Pajaro River that forced thousands of people to leave is now prompting authorities to shut down Highway 1. This is Highway 1 closed fully from Salinas Road to Highway 129. The situation on Highway 1 is the latest in this area that saw evacuation shelters filling up after the levee breach, and at least 100 water rescues in this area. The White House is stressing that Silicon Valley Bank is not getting a government bailout after regulators seized the assets of the failed bank. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying taxpayers aren't on the hook to cover the bank. She said the money for depositors will come from the fees that banks pay into the Federal Deposit Insurance Fund, emphasizing, she said, that this is not what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. President Biden said investors of Silicon Valley Bank will not be protected and the management of the bank will be fired.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about this. I'll have some more sound from President Biden about this. But you guys can let me know in the comments, and I'm already seeing some, of whether or not you think that this is a bailout and what you would want to see happen given the types of businesses that use a bank like Silicon Valley Bank. So we'll talk about that.
The next story really has to do with this new project, the Willow Oil Project, and the Biden administration giving the green light to this drilling situation in Alaska. The Willow Project will be located inside a petroleum reserve about 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle. It's expected to produce 180,000 barrels of oil a day and create up to 2,500 short-term jobs and 300 long-term positions. The Willow Project has been heavily criticized by activists who say it is very bad for the environment. And the president of Mexico says his country is actually safer than the United States of America. That's right. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador making the comment as there's been criticism of security in Mexico following the kidnapping and murder of Americans this month. He claimed there's no problem with traveling safely around Mexico, despite State Department advisories in place warning Americans don't travel to certain parts of that country. 4 Americans were kidnapped shortly after crossing the border into Mexico. 2 killed, 2 others have since made their return to the United States. It looks like, though, that there was a dog rescued at sea. I don't know if you've heard this story, but there was a dog rescued after swimming out to sea in Long Beach. And now the owners or the authorities in Long Beach are looking for the owners of this dog. Sorry that I didn't get a picture of the dog to show you, but how scary is that? And lastly, a new ethnic studies course will be taught in Carlsbad Unified Schools. The problem is no one can agree on exactly what to teach during this ethnic studies class, and some changes are now being made by the school board in this area. It's been a bit of a mess. The class will have students analyze how African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are portrayed in various films over the years, or how they have been. The San Diego Union Tribune reports the class was approved after the board removed references to white Eurocentric dominant culture and institutional racism in the course description. Those references were the subject of protest by parent and community groups at the board's previous meeting. Starting in 2025, all California high school students will be required to take an ethnic studies course in order to graduate. And this report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, check in with Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the Silicon Valley Bank fallout. And I was driving around this weekend. And, Kim, we're part of the media. Whenever you start seeing cameras set up, you always look around like, what's going on?
Yep, exactly.
And so I'm driving by Great America Parkway. And that's where Silicon Valley Bank is. I did not know where Silicon Valley Bank's, I guess, headquarters are. And it was there. And there was a bunch of cameras out front. And I was like, oh, they're talking about this. So let's get into it. But real quickly, click that thumbs up button to show support of the show. We really love it. The super chat, of course, is live as well, where you can donate some dollars. Just look for the dollar sign. And again, consider donating to our Patreon. Thank you to Beth, who just upped her Patreon monthly donation.
Beth.
Moments ago. Thank you, Beth.
Really
I really
nice.
appreciate it. So just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com and you can become a Medorable yourself and be part of the cool club and become a monthly Patreon subscriber. If you like PayPal, the email is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. That is also my show's email if you want to reach out to me. And then our merch shop is thenikkimedoroshop.com. Okay, so Silicon Valley Bank. Look, this is not, at least this is what everyone's saying. This is not the same thing, right, as what has happened in 2008. I want to play you a little sound here. And this, of course, is President Biden. And President Biden, he must feel like it's freaking deja vu, right? Because it was Obama that had to get us out of that nonsense back in 2008 when he was vice president.
Remember when he first came into office and it was a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't imagine being Biden's like, son of a Jesus. So again, President Biden, you don't want it to play politics, right? But there are politics involved in the banking regulation, the banking industry, those sorts of things. There are those that want more regulations on banks. There are those that don't want more regulations on banks. And so here is President Biden. I'm going to play you a little bit of his announcement today, talking and really doing what a president is supposed to do, which is ease people's fears when something like a bank going under.
And here are the highlights. First, all customers who had deposits in these banks can rest assured they'll be protected and they'll have access to their money as of today. That includes small businesses across the country that bank there and need to make payroll, pay their bills, and stay open for business. No losses will be, and this is an important point, no losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the deposit insurance fund. Because of the actions that our regulators have already taken, Every American should feel confident that their deposits will be there if and when they need them. Second, the management of these banks will be fired.
There you go.
If the bank is taken over by FDIC, the people running the bank should not work there anymore. Third, investors in the banks will not be protected.
There you go.
They knowingly took a risk, and when the risk didn't pay off, investors lose their money. That's how capitalism works. And fourth, there are important questions of how these banks got into the circumstance in the first place. We must get the full accounting of what happened and why those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law. And finally, we must reduce the risk of this happening again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we put in place tough requirements on banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, including the Dodd-Frank law to make sure that the crisis we saw in 2008 would not happen again. Unfortunately, the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks to make it less likely this kind of bank failure would happen again.
All right. So there you go. I mean, that's what President Biden is saying, and I know that people are not happy with the fact that, and you see this sign when you go into the bank of the limit that the FDIC basically will give back to you should something like this happen. And it is $250,000. Well, the FDIC is going to guarantee deposits, even those above $250,000.
But don't you think that was irresponsible for all those people with all the big money who you would think have, especially the companies, have financial advisors and, CFOs and everything to put all of that money in one bank and then expect to have those deposits guaranteed? Yeah. Don't you have to spread it around when you have that much?
Well, I mean, or it should not be guaranteed, right? There should not be that insurance. If you keep it at under 250K. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you have more than that, then you go to a different bank.
Right.
Now, as far as the idea of it being a so-called bailout, I think that, and somebody had said it, I don't know if it was John or somebody said it earlier in the comments, anything above $250,000 is a bailout. I can kind of hop on board with that. On the other hand, I don't know how much money we are talking about here and what the repercussions and the trickle-down effect would be. Now, the point that President Biden is making that it's not going to come down to us, the taxpayer,
right?
It's a bit murky simply because, yes, the FDIC is a fund that the banks pay into, but it's backed by the Treasury Department. It's backed by us. So if it does go below zero, then we're on the hook.
Yeah. But if all the money is coming from these fees paid by banks, then he can keep that argument that that's the case. And there's some fear that other banks may be affected by this as well.
Yes.
I was reading an article about First Republic Bank.
Yep, First Republic, yeah.
So, and so this may have far-reaching implications. So when one falls, others tend to kind of crumble right behind.
Exactly. Well, and then, of course, there's the politics of the whole damn thing. Yeah. So here is James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, a congressman. And he's also on the House Oversight Committee. Okay. And he is on Fox News being asked about the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. And I'm telling you, people, they must get, there must be a quota of how many times Republicans can say the word woke. And must get a stipend or some sort of reward for every single time. Here he is.
Well, look, this is something that I worry could be a trend. Usually when one bank goes down, more banks go down. And what we've seen early on from articles I've read in the Wall Street Journal and other financial publications is they invested a lot of cash that I would assume they had from things like the PPP loan, government policy, and they invested it in bonds. And then because the Democrats spent too much money in all their stimulus, the bonds go down when interest rates go up. The Fed had to raise interest rates to combat the Democrat inflation. And then we see now coming out that they were one of the most woke banks in their quest for the ESG type policy and investing. This could be a trend, and there are consequences for bad Democrat policy. And I think we need to keep an eye on all the banking sector right now.
Well, Well, you should be keeping an eye on the banking sector no matter what, whether it's a Democratic president or a Republican president. But the truth of the matter is, like President Biden said, Dodd-Frank was weakened under the former administration, and he wants Congress to strengthen it again. Yeah, Vilma says the word woke is now just being used to cover people's prejudices. It's a short word and easy to remember, so the right uses it to cover up their own prejudices. Yeah, I'm so done. I'm so done with the word woke being, manipulated and
don't be
used in this
done.
way.
You can't be done, because this is the word of the 2024 presidential election.
Oh,
We're going to
geez,
hear it over and over and over again. This is the hot topic buzzword of the election. And Republicans are going to say, woke Democrat policies, woke this and woke that. And they're going to say it over and over again until it becomes a dirty word like liberal.
Well, I will say this, though. Caitlin Collins, we need more of her kind of questioning. So she was speaking with a Republican hopeful, and asked him a basic question that I think all reporters should ask if any Republican uses the word woke.
You've been dubbed the CEO of anti-woke. You have written several of these books. You've been very vocal of your criticism of what you say is wokeism, woke religion. Can you just define how do you define woke?
Yeah, and I'm going to define it in neutral terms, not in critical terms. Being woke refers to becoming alert to invisible societal injustices, generally based on genetically inherited characteristics like race, sex, and sexual orientation, and then being called upon to act on those injustices using whatever potential legally means are necessary, including the market, to do it. That's a neutral definition that even most proponents of wokeism in the United States would agree with. Okay. Now, my criticism of this is I think that it's inherently divisive to tell us that we're nothing more than the characteristics we inherit on the day we're born. That divides us on the basis of race and sex and sexual orientation. And then when that merges with capitalism, which is what I've actually been the biggest critic of, what it does is we lose the sanctuary, the apolitical sanctuary in our economy that otherwise brings us together, whether we're black or white, even whether we're Democrat or Republican. That's one of the underappreciated reasons why capitalism has to stay apolitical. And I'm proud to say I've been the leader on leading that fight over the course of the last couple of years, and with some progress, because I think we're turning the tide where companies are realizing that they're not doing good for themselves or even doing good for society by engaging in these fraught political and social questions. Yeah. And I think we're beginning to see that change of the tide.
I know you have a lot of positions on the company's aspect. I want to get to that. But when it comes to this, is this your platform, would you argue? Because when people talk about inflation and what they're paying at the grocery store, do you really think that is the message that appeals to voters right now?
Well, that's the message I've been advancing for the last 3 years. But now we're taking this to the next level and running for the presidency. We're actually running to actually deliver unity to the country. It's much bigger than that. One of the core aspects of my platform is actually unleashing the American economy itself. There's this false debate, even within the GOP, between spending cuts or between raising taxes between Democrats and Republicans. I think we have forgotten the biggest ingredient to actually deliver us from our problems. That is GDP growth itself. GDP growth was over 4% in this country until the early 70s. It's been less than 2.5% ever since. I think we need to unleash the American animal inside the heart of the American economy.
So what do you think about what he said right there? I mean, the thing that I take a lot of issue with, besides the fact of even using woke and manipulating it in that way, is for him to say capitalism is apolitical. Bull. When you have Citizens United, right, where corporations are people, that in and of itself makes it political. Why? Because corporations now can use their money to funnel into politicians that make laws. It is fundamentally political, and Republicans support that. So for him to say, oh no, the free market capitalism should be apolitical, bull. And using your money politically is the backbone of their whole freaking strategy. It's why they fundraise. It's why some people want to get dark money out of politics. It's just a bit insane for him to say all of that with a straight face. Now, again, his name is Vivek Ramaswamy. He is a GOP presidential candidate. I don't know if he's really going to be having Trump shaking his boots or anything like that, but it is kind of this take that the GOP is taking regarding it's only woke when it is a Democratic policy or a liberal stance, but it's not apparently woke to have sort of right-wing, right-leaning beliefs and use your money in that way. Apparently that doesn't matter at all to these people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Randy says, how is this guy proposing to unleash the American economy? That's a good follow-up question. Well, I mean, I only played you also a clip of it. I didn't see the entire thing. Yeah, exactly. Anonymous. These are talking points and buzzwords, and it's so cliche. Although I will say they resonate. I mean, how many of you know somebody that is a Republican or a conservative, and they use this terminology? They're like parrots of Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and those type of people. They use these words, and Hannity and all of them know it. They speak in short little sound bites. They say the same thing over and over again, and hence they don't need to say it as much because the rest of you are just going to say it for them. So we'll see how this whole thing kind of plays out. But I'm so done. I'm really, really done with this idea of woke, and it's being criticized. That House Oversight Committee guy Comer, he was being criticized for saying woke and calling this situation with Silicon Valley Bank the cause of woke policies. He was even being criticized by people saying, no, let's just stop. It's becoming a caricature of itself, and people are going to see through this very, very quickly. Now, what about this, though, on the other side of the political aisle? And I don't know how I exactly feel about it. So I'm going to play you the sound. This is a newly elected Democrat, okay, a Democratic lawmaker. This is in Miami. Newly elected Democratic Miami Commissioner Sabrina Covo. Okay, that's her name. And this is what happened at a recent meeting. Here we go.
Much. And now, Commissioner Covo, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Is she not saying anything?
She's not saying anything.
Okay.
Listen.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She doesn't know it. She said that she didn't know the Pledge of Allegiance. So she had a Twitter response, and this is what she chalked it up to. She wrote this on Twitter. She said, serving the people of Miami is the honor of a lifetime. When you feel a responsibility is that important, nervousness is normal, and I'm not afraid to admit that I was. The oath and pledge I took to our nation and to the residents of District 2 is clear, and I'm focused on honoring my promise to get things done for our community, which is why I'm not focused on Twitter talk, but rather on passing two very important pieces of legislation, blah, blah, blah. That's leading through the very words in our Pledge of Allegiance and our promise to lead with ethics and integrity. Your take, Kim.
I mean, is she an immigrant?
I don't know if she's an immigrant. Let me look
because
at her.
If you went to school in America, every day you say the Pledge of Allegiance. It's kind of ingrained into you, whether you agree with that type of, thing or not. It is. We all know it because we all said it every day. And so
She's Colombian American. She's a Colombian American entrepreneur.
So if she didn't go to school here and she only had to memorize it maybe to become a citizen, then I think it's less kind of locked in. And so I'll give her a pass for not knowing it. And I appreciate that she was nervous and apologizing, but she needs to learn it pretty quickly or have it written down so she can reference it if she's asked to do this again, because that's a bit embarrassing.
That was really embarrassing. And what I'll say is, and some people, I think, rightly kind of make this point, is that when you become, and I don't know her immigration status, she says that she's a Colombian American. I don't know if she was born in Colombia. Her biography doesn't necessarily say that. But I will say this, a lot of people who become American citizens, they know that pledge. They know a lot more about American history and all sorts of things because they have to, right? They go through the whole process. So I don't know for sure. I think it's highly, highly embarrassing. Do you think that it is a requirement, though, to serve? Because that's what other people say, like she shouldn't serve, she should be removed from her position. And I'm like, let's just stop for a second, okay? And
a little much.
I mean,
write it down and do better next time. Done.
Right. Karen says, I don't think anyone should feel compelled to say a Pledge of Allegiance to the country. In school, I don't think it would mean anything to the kids, and it's almost never explained. Eric is saying the pledge is so uniquely American, other countries really don't do it. Yeah, go ahead.
What if she was of a religion? There's certain religions that are not allowed to say the Pledge of Allegiance because they can't put anything above God, right? So what if her religion was one of those that was against the Pledge of Allegiance? Should she not be allowed to serve because of her religion?
That's
I don't
an
know.
interesting point. I mean, that's not what she said. The woman said you couldn't really hear it. She's like, "Oh, you don't know it?" And I think she was like, "No, I don't want to do it." I remember my in-laws took in a foreign exchange student who's like the son of a family friend, and he was from Germany. And I remember, I don't know where we were, but the Pledge of Allegiance was happening, and he's like, "Oh, this doesn't happen in Germany. Like, we do not do this. We do not," which could be because of the history of Germany. Maybe you don't want to do it. But I think the comment that other countries really don't do it is probably correct. We are just so, whether you want to call it nationalistic, patriotic, whatever, people are really sensitive about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
Although in the same breath, I will always add, if you are a true, in my opinion, if you're a true American, you support people not saying the Pledge of Allegiance, because there is nothing more American than having the freedom to do it or not to do it. That is the point. So, okay, let's switch gears. After Kim's news, I do want to get into some food news. I know it is not Friday, but there's some interesting food news. And tell me in the comments, two things in the comments. What is your favorite fast food burger place? And what is your favorite ice cream? So think about those as we lead into the bottom of the hour news. I don't know this question. I'm just going through the comments real quickly. Karen said, did they call out the the camera woman who was shot by Alec Baldwin? Helena Hutchins.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. And did that happen last year or did it happen the year before? The years blur. When did it happen? Did it happen in 2022 or did it apparently it doesn't matter anyway. So, yeah, I don't know, Karen, if that happened, but that'd be awkward, right? That would, and I don't think Alec Baldwin was at the Oscars. I didn't particularly see him. So, John asks, are kids doing the Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom? Yes, in my school they are.
Yep, my school they are.
And they also do the raising of the flag sometimes. You know, they do that. Yeah. So, and I don't care either way. Honestly, it doesn't bother me if they do it or it doesn't do it. If they want to do it, knock yourself out. If you don't do it, fine. I think it's something that should be known. I think that, you should know the Pledge of Allegiance. Like my daughter right now was being tested on the preamble, right? There's some things that you just learn in school that you should learn. Yeah. But if you don't want to say it, I don't think that you should have to say it at all. Yeah, Natalie says kids, yes to kids to the pledge and take turns on flag duty.
Right.
I know at my kids' elementary school, there was somebody on the student body that was in charge of doing it every day. It was like part of their job. They'd get there early in the morning and make sure that they raised the flag, and then they'd have to take it down properly and fold it up and everything.
Do you get upset when you see the flag touch the ground?
Oh, I especially get angry when the flag touches the ground because I'm married to who I'm married to, and he is extremely upset about it.
Same.
I know the rules regarding that. Like you're supposed to burn the flag if it touches the ground, those sorts of things. There needs to be a light on it if you're going to keep your flag up in front of your house 24 hours a day. There needs to be a light on it. Those sorts of things. It's a respect thing.
Right.
Am I going to yell and scream at somebody that doesn't? No, I'm not. I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. I think that there's an education that can happen, right? Like if you have a neighbor that has a flag with no light on it, you can be like, you're supposed to have a light on it, but if they don't, I'm not going to raise a ruckus about it. Would you?
No, but I did see the school janitor taking down the flag after school the other day as I was waiting to pick up the kids. And that flag hit the ground and stayed there for a hot minute. And I was like,
they laid it on the ground, or was it just kind of touching it because he was folding it up?
He was trying to fold it up, but in doing so, it was resting on the ground. Or it was resting on the ground while he was by himself.
Well, that's the problem.
It's cringeworthy. It's like,
it's a tricky job.
He could have lifted up his arm and fixed the problem, but I don't think he realized that this was an issue. So I don't know. It makes me cringe when I see it. I think, oh, no.
Yeah, but I mean, how are you supposed to, and I'm assuming it's a large flag, how are you supposed to fold a flag properly?
Right.
As a single person? That's why you have two people. I mean, That's why you have to, one person holds it up, the other person gets it off, then you stand and you fold it properly. That is how it's supposed to be done. So I would actually not even blame that janitor, Kim. I'd go to your school and be like, why do you not have somebody to take 2 people to take down the flag every day? That's the problem. Leaving it up to the poor janitor who's, what's he supposed to do? Drape it around himself like he's the Statue of Liberty? I mean, he can only do so much. So, let me read a couple of other comments about the pledge. Chris writes, forced pledges defeat the purpose. Excellent point. It does. I mean, I think what we're pledging to is what we believe as a country. And if you believe as a country that we are free to do as we wish, and we have these certain freedoms, that includes not standing for something, not kneeling for something, not saying something. You don't have to do those things. Vilma says these days everything is political or becomes political. Eric says pledges are very nationalistic. It's no wonder we're leaning hard towards authoritarianism. I mean, I could see why the worry is there. I think it takes the rest of us to kind of be like, to raise our voices to things that we may not do. Like, for instance, I have no problem saying the Pledge of Allegiance every time it is said, but I'm not going to go after someone that chooses not to. And I'll even defend their right to do so. Right. So that's how I think we fight against heading towards authoritarianism. But I see your point. Karen, I don't think you should have to demonstrate your patriotism. True. Although we are very patriotic. There was a flyover, right? During the Oscars. Anyone notice that at the beginning?
No.
Pretty sure when they were doing the Top Gun thing, there was a flyover. I don't know if it was real or if it was part of the movies, but it kind of looked like it. So there might have been. Anonymous. If I'm taking down a flag thousands of times in my career, I'll probably be less concerned about it touching unless I was a veteran. Interesting. David thinks playing the national anthem at every sporting event kind of cheapens it. On the other hand, if not for that, when would you ever hear it?
Right.
Ooh, that is an excellent point, David.
When would we, test our memory of the words? Yeah.
When would we ever hear the national anthem if not for sporting events? Anybody? When do you ever hear it?
That's it.
I don't know. That's the only time then it's like becoming synonymous with it. No wonder people are so kind of up in arms about people not standing or whatever during it. John cringes as well, Kim, whenever he sees a flag touching the ground.
Yeah.
So he was in ROTC. Yeah, I get
that. It's worse if it's almost worse if it's done by thoughtlessness and accident than if someone's standing outside burning a flag or protesting or whatever. I get that. You're doing it on purpose. You're making a point. That's to me is an American way to protest, and I understand it. I wouldn't do it, but I get it. But if you're thoughtless and you're not paying attention, and if you're
throwing it on the ground,
you're not respecting it because you're not thinking of that one gets me every time.
Yeah. And some people just aren't educated on the whole entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. John made an excellent point. These days, the flag is being used by the right wing as a way to say they are patriots and left wingers are not. True. Yeah. But we can't let that happen. Right. I mean, the flag can be the flag for all of us, but they do. They kind of drape themselves in it.
Right.
But you got to see through the BS and all of that. So.
There was during the Trump administration, my sister was like, I don't want to fly the American flag because it makes me look like a Trumper.
Oh,
and I'm like, no, they don't get to have the flag.
Yeah, you don't get to have it. No.
And by you playing into that, you're letting them have the flag. And that is absolutely unacceptable. The flag is an American flag, regardless of your opinion on anything. You don't not fly a flag because you think it makes you look like a Republican or a Trumper or whatever.
No.
You fly the flag because you love your country. Don't be ridiculous.
John says nearly every house I saw with a flag flying outside of it, a crazy person lived there. I don't think that's true. It's not true. I mean, we fly our flag, although since we've moved, we don't have a place.
Are you crazy? Lulu.
Matters who you ask, of course. But no, I mean, look, if you're going to have a flag flying in front of your house, you should know kind of the rules on how it should be flown, how it should be taken down. Sure. But if you don't, I'm not going to protest your house. Like, everybody needs to take it down a notch. It's not that big of a deal unless it is to you. Okay. So we're going to get into some food stories. I have some really fun, interesting food stories. My sister-in-law is a huge fan of this condiment. And even she thinks that this may have gone a bit too far. You guys tell me. Click the thumbs up button and we'll talk about all of that after the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start with the atmospheric river that is due to move into the Bay Area. Again, another one this afternoon. This apparently is coming now to Northern California. The National Weather Service in Sacramento saying it will start with scattered showers and possible thunderstorms this afternoon, and then it'll really pick up speed with the snow at the mountain passes. It's it's pretty scary again, because we've already got a flood watch in place for much of the northern part of our state as the snow melt and the heavy rain combines to threaten rivers and levees. Most of the heavy rain will occur overnight tonight and into Tuesday morning. Things clear out on Wednesday, then we get a break in the storms and see some sunshine Thursday before another weak system arrives over the weekend, and then a bigger, larger storm taking aim at hard-hit Central California early next week. In Santa Rosa, the Catholic Diocese is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That is happening today. Why? Well, unknown millions of dollars in anticipated liabilities because of pending child sex abuse claims filed in court over the last 3 years. The Santa Rosa Archdiocese claiming that unidentified assets it has between 10 and 50 million. It also estimated liabilities in the same range, according to the Press Democrat. There are 222 pending lawsuits in which the diocese is named a defendant or a co-defendant. At least one attorney involved with numerous cases is saying that. So, yeah, they're going to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It almost seems like preemptively. Speaking of finances, financial experts are telling the public not to panic after 2 bank failures. California's Silicon Valley Bank failed Friday, followed by the closure of New York-based Signature Bank on Sunday. Asset managers at Ashton Thomas say the banks that failed are specialized, and the FDIC will make all depositors cash good. President Biden is also reassuring the nation the banking systems are safe. The president said customers who had accounts with those 2 banks will have access to their money starting today. Nikki, I wonder if you think with these 2 bank failures, does it make you want to run to the bank and get your money? It doesn't make me feel that way.
No, I mean, if I didn't run to get my money out, what was it? Washington Mutual. That was the bank that I had in 2008 when that whole thing started collapsing, and I was scared S-less. No, but these are community banks. It's a different type of thing.
Right.
The money that they take, the type of businesses, Etsy's, Roku, Roblox. There's a number of businesses that have a lot of money in Silicon Valley Bank. No, it doesn't, but I can understand why people were. Did you see that people were waiting outside this bank like 2 o'clock in the morning, wanted to be one of the first people to discuss it? Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I get helping out the depositors.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of people have a little bit of 2008 bailout deja vu,
Right.
which is totally understandable.
Let's talk about the national weather system. The winters in the United States, they say, appear to be getting warmer. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports the average temperature for the U.S. this winter, 34.9 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 2.7 degrees above average. So we're actually a little warmer, even though many of the parts of the country is seeing chillier weather and more snow. So our average is, 2.7 degrees higher. Thousands of Ukrainian refugees who entered the United States through a special program through the southern border will be able to stay in the United States legally for at least another year. That is according to CBS News. They report the federal government will extend the parole grant of Ukrainians processed at the southern border between February and April of last year after Russia's invasion. More than 20,000 Ukrainians entered the country from Mexico. They were exempt from the pandemic restriction known as Title 42. Some more statistics for you out of the FBI. They are releasing revised hate crime stats, which show an almost 12% increase since 2021. They show 65% of those crimes were racially motivated. The original release of data, which reported a slight decrease in overall hate crimes, had low participation, they say, due to law enforcement agencies dealing with new reporting systems. Tiger Woods defending himself over uh, his ex-girlfriend accusing him of tricking her into leaving his Florida home and locking her out after she left. We're going on vacation, pack your stuff, and then she walks out the door and click.
Oh,
Woods
that's awful.
Well, what do you do with the crazy good lady who won't leave? Woods described Erica Herman as a jilted ex-girlfriend. This after she said Woods told her they would be going on a short vacation, but it was just an excuse to get her out of the house. Yeah.
Ouch.
Bye.
I don't know, the history of their relationship or what have you, but that's embarrassing. That's really, really
Well,
embarrassing.
how bad is it that you won't go and he has to trick you to get the hell out? Like if you're not wanted, then
Well, you don't know what the conversation sounded like. And, was it all of a sudden? Was it, she thought maybe they were having a fight, but she wasn't going to leave. And how easy would it be just to leave the place where you live? I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. All your crap's in there, I'm sure. So
you know what? Not your house. You got to go.
Yeah, I guess.
Not your house.
How harsh Kim McAllister is.
Get the hell out. I'm sorry. This is not, you don't own it. You got to go. So, I mean, if she's not going to leave and that's the best he can do,
how uncomfortable. Jeez.
It must have been pretty.
It's like, go wait
awful.
for me in the car, sweetheart, and just like change the locks real quick.
Yeah. And I mean, that was actually pretty smart to get her to pack up because they're going on a short trip. I mean, way to go. Then she's got her stuff.
Yeah, but I'm wondering what's wrong with Tiger. What's wrong with
Tiger?
Medicine.
Got everything she needs. Get the hell out.
He's a cheater, right? So we already know that Tiger Woods has cheated, which, many people have. I'm not saying, but he has cheated. Maybe it's not her. Maybe it's him. We don't know what the problem is there. Just be a little cuckoo. I don't know.
The last story I have for you during this newscast revolves around The Last of Us.
Oh, I meant to ask you, did you watch?
I did watch. Did you watch?
What did you this is what I'm going to say. No spoilers. But at the end of it, I was like, that's it? Like, I thought, you know what I thought? I've been watching this as if there's not a season 2. And then I Googled it and there is a season 2. So
that's what the story's about. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know. She says this thing to him and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And then he responds and she's like, okay. And then it cuts to credits. And I was like, what? I thought it went quickly. I didn't realize an hour had passed or whatever.
Right.
I thought it was okay. It really was, I think it was one of the more touching episodes, but yeah, I wanted more, which is good because I'm ready.
You're going to get more because The Last of Us Part 2 will be broken down into more than one season. This, according to the creators of this hit series, after they spoke to GQ magazine about the future of the show. The creators wouldn't say if there will be 2 or 3 more seasons of the series. They do confirm more than one is factually correct. The Last of Us just aired its final episode of its first season on Sunday night. So we're getting a season 2, but broken down into 2 parts, which I hate that because that means they'll probably release like 4 or 5 episodes, maybe 6 episodes. And then you got to wait a few months. And then I like it when they, instead of doing 1 episode at a time, I like it when they just put the whole thing out.
No.
Yeah.
See, I that's like the Netflix way, which I love shows that do that. But you know what I like about HBO not doing that? It makes you feel the passage of time because sometimes it's like, if you just binge watch it, you feel like things moved way too quickly, right? So I like that. It makes us wait. It drags it out. Game of Thrones did the same thing, splitting things up. Stranger Things did the same thing too.
Yeah.
I agree, Marcus. The finale was way too short. Walter says there's a bonus episode coming. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Kim.
No.
But
I didn't know about the bonus episode.
And of course, I watched the post-show interviews because I was so confused that was the end of the episode. But yeah, I always watch it. Eric renewed, so now you're going to be watching it. I did. I liked it. Are you going to watch season 2 or what? Season 2 and 3?
Yeah, I'm kind of in it now. Unfortunately, thanks, Nikki. I have to. So
I've opened up a whole new genre of television, the brutal, gruesome kind, which is awesome.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for everyone, whether you're single, whether you're filing as an individual, whether you've got a big business and you're filing that way. He can help you out. 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Yeah, and I'm going to make the same comment. David, you're absolutely correct. It was amazing how the actress who played Ellie's mom looked like her.
Yeah.
She did. I was like, that was great casting. But no more spoiler alerts. Everybody just go and watch it. I really enjoyed it. And Pedro Pascal is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, a little Mandalorian humor from John. This is the way. Yes, it is, because he's a Mandalorian. So yeah, I love it. I can't wait. I'm sorry, Kim, did you mention when the new episodes or the new season is going to be out?
They didn't say.
They didn't say. Okay. All right. Okay. So name your favorite fast food hamburger joint. Go, Kim. What is your favorite place? If I say, let's go get a burger, where do you want to go?
I'm going, it's not a fast food place though. I'm going Super Burger in Petaluma.
Okay. That's okay. It's not a chain. It's just one location.
There's a couple of them in this area, and they have like the meat that's fancy, It's not like fast food meat. It's from Neiman Ranch or whatever it is. The fancy
You told
meat.
yourself that it's different. It's just not.
It's different. Although I have eaten Habit Burger, and I would probably do that again.
Habit Burger is a good burger. I like their burgers. I've said this before. I love their onion rings. I don't know if they use like a panko with the breading or something, but they're so crispy and crunchy. I'm getting hungry again. Natalie says Wendy's pretzel bacon pub cheeseburger. Fast Casual Burger Lounge in Campbell. Good burger. I've been there. Favorite ice cream, steak and shakes, a strawberry milkshake with hot fudge swirled through it. Damn, you guys are making me. Habit Burger, another one for Habit Burger. Super Duper Burger in San Francisco, or the Habit. A lot for Wendy's. Oh, Eric, back in the day, in my college days, a Western bacon cheeseburger was my burger. I usually cannot finish a burger, but I could finish a Western bacon cheeseburger now. What am I talking about? My college days. I could eat one. I have not eaten a Western bacon cheeseburger in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't care about chains. I was just asking where you want to go when you want a burger. And a lot of you are mentioning In-N-Out. And did you hear the news? This is why I'm bringing it up. Did you hear the news about In-N-Out? What they're now releasing. And this is in honor of one of its co-founders. There she is right there. So this was shared by Lindsay Snyder on her Instagram page. The co-founder, Esther Snyder is her name. There she is right there. And they said, in memory of my precious Grams, we welcome the newest addition, the Esther Snyder cookout truck. And here's a picture of the truck. They're going to have this truck out, and it serves In-N-Out's only mini double doubles, mini burgers, and mini fries. So here's a picture of the food. This is the mini version of it. That's the double double, which still seems big to me. Here's somebody holding it though, so you can see the difference in size. And yeah, it's in honor of her. And the proceeds will support In-N-Out's efforts in assisting children who have been victims of child abuse. And so every time you rent the truck, you can help children live a life free of abuse and have a bright future. Yeah, there's the truck. I think this is beyond a food truck. I feel like do you ever see the Mr. Frosty or Mr. Softy, Mr. Softy ice cream truck going around? I love how these like kind of bigger name companies are coming out with these trucks, kind of getting into the food truck business. So yeah, again, you can get it. I have the website here. Go to Esther, Esther, SnyderCookoutTruck.com, and you can rent the truck. I think the minimum is probably going to be a couple grand, but I think they start at like 85 people. It's for a party. Like if you're going to have a wedding and you want to have an In-N-Out burger truck, which I think, by the way, would be amazing. I don't like the fries, but I definitely think having that at your wedding, that'd be bomb. I don't know if they do it animal style or anything like that, but I bet you they would. I think that's a
I don't
pretty
like
good
the
idea.
I don't like the fries either, but what a lovely idea.
It is a
And I
lovely idea.
think that chain is heavily Christian. If I'm right,
They
I
put
believe they put the Bible saying or scripture number on the bottom of the cup or something. So
Yeah.
I think they have a connection to religion. And so I mean, what a lovely thing to do, to put your money where your mouth is and have a truck
Totally.
like
Yeah.
that goes to charity. Yeah.
Exactly. And really helped out kids and it's obviously a great cause. So In and Out sliders, yeah, that's basically what they would be. Ooh, Five Guys. I haven't been to Five Guys. Did you hear Yoga Room, the hack with Five Guys? Did you know Yoga Room? Let me take this picture off real quick. That and maybe you do know this if you go there all the time. At Five Guys, you can get extra toppings for free, like extra cheese and extra bacon. And so this TikToker went on and he's like, I just order a ton of bacon, take some of it off and save it for the rest of the week for my breakfast.
Oh.
So you can get as much bacon as you want and you don't ever have to buy bacon again. So there's your hack if you like the Five Guys, because everybody wants to save money. We'll get to ice cream, some ice cream news in just a bit, but let's get to talking about saving money, maybe saving money on your taxes with our founding sponsor and our friend, Steve Moskowitz with Moskowitz LLC. Steve, thank you so much for coming on, being a huge supporter of the show. I am sure that, you want to save everybody that calls you tons of money because people waste money by not knowing what they're doing on their taxes.
Absolutely. And there's multiple ways to do this. The first thing is so many people overpay on their taxes. And why is that? And, before I was a tax attorney, I was a CPA. So many people, the accountant just takes the numbers and puts them on the tax return, says, here you go. Here's the address to mail things, write a check for this amount. Goodbye. See you next year. That's not the way we do a tax return. We talk to you. We want to take every benefit to which you're legally entitled. And then we can go back and amend the last 3 years federal, 4 years California. And also, then we want to talk to you about tax planning, where we meet with you as often as every month. And there's so much available. Like everything else, you have to know it. And in another area, most people wouldn't presume that they know how to fly an airplane or fix a sink or do anything. That's somebody else's. Well, why would you think about that with your taxes? We've dedicated our professional lives to this. And that's what we're doing here. We want to meet with you. We want to do your taxes, take over, do everything for you. And we want to save you every dollar legally possible. We want to make sure, just like the big companies, just like the Fortune 500, look how much money they make. And they legally don't pay taxes, a lot of them, because they use all these tax benefits. Tax benefits are not just for Fortune 500. They're for everybody, but you have to know where they are. We know where they are. We'll go over this with you. Let us take care of you.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. I think people are like, what? The rich people always get all the breaks. What about me? Steve is your guy. He's your people that's going to figure it out for you. So give him a call, 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. That's 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzzLLP.com. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,
We
guys.
appreciate it. Have a good one. Yeah. So give him a call. Tell him the Nikki Medoro Show sent you, and he's going to help you out with whatever you need. I wanted to go and address this comment real quick. We were talking about burgers. Castle Burger. That's a good one. I'm assuming you mean White Castle, unless there's a different Castle one that you're talking about. Al Anonymous says, no offense, but when I eat a burger, I'm not thinking, oh boy, I'm saving young children. No, not necessarily, but it might make your burger taste a little better. Eric says, well, now that everybody knows about that Five Guys hack, they're not going to give out free bacon anymore. Possibly. But I mean, how embarrassing would it be to be like, more bacon, more and more bacon. So
right.
I think there's only a certain type of person that's going to do that. Smash Burger. I think I've eaten there once, but when you guys mentioned Smash Burger, and I don't know how many locations there are, but when I lived in Sacramento, my husband and I would love to go to the Squeeze Inn. Anybody know of the Squeeze Inn and the cheese skirt? No? So what they do is they kind of smash their burger down as well. And Kim, I'm not even kidding. A big handful of cheese. They put all over and they cover the entire burger meat. And then it creates this skirt of cheese around it because it's bigger than and then they fry it. and then like you could peel it off and eat it. Oh, anybody ever had a squeeze in burger?
Wow.
Bomb. I mean, it's a heart attack, right? It's a ton of
Yeah,
cheese.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I love my cheese. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, the squeeze in. Yes, John. I knew somebody
I was
had
looking
to
for the study and I can't find it. But last week I had a story that there was a ranking of the best burgers from a chain.
Okay.
And In-N-Out came in at number 1, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
I like their burgers. I do. But now that I'm mentioning the squeeze in and the cheese skirt and things like that, like it's a good, decent burger. I get it animal style. I dislike the fry. I cannot say enough about how much I hate In-N-Out fries. I think they're just awful.
It's like cardboard.
You could tell me, oh, just ask for them. Well, no. McDonald's French fries are, in my opinion, the best, but whatever. But they do have a good burger. I will give In-N-Out that. They give a very good burger.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple more minutes. I want to do this ice cream story. Now, I am not a huge ice cream eater. I mean, I'll have an occasional, if we're going out for ice cream, I'm like, okay, I'll get some ice cream. But when you combine things that people really, really love into an ice cream, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. This is the newest. Ranch flavored ice cream.
No.
So Van Leeuwen and Hidden Valley have teamed up to create Hidden Valley Ranch flavored ice cream.
Stop it. No.
It's a garlic powder forward line. It'll be available at select Walmart stores starting March 20th. It's a nod to National Ranch Day, which I know my sister-in-law probably will be celebrating, but even she said, this is a bit much for me.
No.
National Ranch Day was actually March 10th. Weirdest ice cream that you've ever eaten. I mean, I've tried garlic ice cream. It's okay. It's not awful. But Taste of Home did this great list of the weirdest and craziest ice cream flavors. I'm going to show you some of them and you tell me yes or no. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
We'll go quick. Cheeto ice cream. Yes or no?
No.
You don't? Do you like Cheetos?
I do.
Like the flaming hot Cheetos?
No, not the flaming hots, but the regular Cheetos.
Mac and cheese ice cream? Same company teaming up with Hidden Valley, by the way.
Mac and cheese ice cream.
Mac and cheese.
That's probably a thumbs down in my book.
Yeah, I don't think so. This one, I'm going to say I will totally eat this one. Where did it go? This one. Oh, no, that's not. That's the wrong one. That was a different story. This one, ghost pepper peppermint ice cream.
No.
I like the idea.
I mean, it's going to be too spicy.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Ghost peppers like the most spicy thing on the planet?
It's like one of the hot. Yeah, it's one of the top ones. Vanilla sriracha. It has like a sweet sriracha sauce, is what they said. I don't know about
could
that.
be interesting.
Sweet potato ice cream.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You would eat that? Oh,
yeah, I
look
would
at
eat
you.
that. Yeah.
All right, and then I think I have one more. Oh, this one's cool because I believe that this whole entire thing is ice cream. It's a baked potato ice cream sundae, but all of that is ice cream. I don't know if it tastes like a baked potato. It just looks like a baked potato.
I think that's peculiar. It could be interesting, but I don't think so. I think the combination's odd.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's also, did I bring up I had so many different pictures. They have a dill pickle. They have here's one, Thanksgiving. That's all ice cream. It's in a tray, but all the rest of that is ice cream.
The cranberry ice cream could be good.
That could be kind of good. I don't know if it tastes like it or if it just looks like it, but they do sell that. So those are all the craziest. Just a taste, as they say, of all of it. And I
What's
did want
to favorite ice cream flavor?
Butter pecan. I like masa or a mint chocolate chip. But butter pecan or Jamocha. I do like a coffee ice cream. I do. What about you?
I'm a big fan of mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
I do like the gold medal ribbon at Baskin Robbins.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
I like
I like ice cream, but
I like a vanilla with a chocolate caramely swirl and little chunks of chocolatey peanuts or something in there. That's what I like.
Yeah. I like green tea ice cream. Like if you go to like
like
I think Benihana's gives you green tea ice cream. That's a bomb. Fig ice cream I've never tasted. I've never ever tasted.
That's really good.
And it sounds like it'll be just sweet enough, but not too sweet, which is awesome. Okay, but before we go, we're talking about food and I showed the picture, so I might as well do it. And it's actually a nod to one of our viewers that I bring this up. So Reese's Pieces has announced a plant-based peanut butter cup. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is I got a message from a viewer. And he says, Nikki, I know how thoughtful and intelligent you are. Thank you. And this is why I'm sending you this note. At your own pace, make a big effort to get the chicken and all animal-based foods out of your diet. It'll be a great gift of good health and discipline to pass on to your family. And I love this. They write, I reserve my preaching for people like you who I think will not be offended by it and know that it is coming from the heart and from my experience with 50 years on a plant-based diet. Thank you for being who you are. And so for that, I give you this plant-based chocolate, and I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to ease off the meat. Going completely plant-based, maybe someday. I'm working towards it, my friend. But I have no offense. You're absolutely right. I should definitely eat less meat. All right. Please click the thumbs up to support the show. Visit us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. Become a Medorable. Join our monthly Patreon. It really helps us out. There's the PayPal email address, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And the merchandise is the Nikki Medoro shop.com. That's shop with a P. We really do appreciate all of you. Big thank you to Jim Slayton with the $2 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. And $5 as well. Thank you so much for that. $10 from Walter and an aloha listening to the audio live. Keep up the great work. Mwah. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, email me, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available. Having conversations, we'll work with you. We'll come up with a package that makes financial sense for all of us. And until tomorrow, I appreciate you all. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.